question would be, you were appointed Minister of Justice and Attorney General in 2020. And then since then, the state has lost a lot of high-profile cases cases that are political implications or so. And then I can count you some cases that you've lost. You've lost the case against Alasan, who made an interview and he was arrested. You've lost the case against the former managing director of Petroleum, Seydou and others, high-profile case. You've also lost the case against Hussein Boya. And you've seen this government fail to implement certain legal policy recommendations or policy initiatives. They failed to be implemented, including the draft constitution of 2020, which failed when you submitted for the second reading. You submitted the 2024 draft for second reading, it failed. So, and also the recent failure of the state to secure conviction against Hussein Boyan. Critics of this government said that was a disastrous failure to secure conviction. And with all these issues put together, and the fact that the National Assembly also cited that you should be punished, because they said they accuse you of continuing some illegal processes that were done by your predecessor. So with all these things, critics said you need to resign or you'll be dismissed by the president. We know that you are not dismissed, you are here with us, but would you resign? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy that you only chose to look at the negatives. How many positive have been achieved during the time? You are not watching up those ones and you're not counting them. We are even here to celebrate a very key milestone. And nobody will credit that. I'll be 6 years in office in this coming June, end of June. And within 6 years, the records are there to speak for themselves. Losing a couple of cases in court, which justice ministry do you see in the world that wins all these cases 100%? The courts are not controlled by us. That's actually what we desired for. As a democracy, the courts are supposed to be independent. They are supposed to assess evidence and reach a conclusion. But the process is an ongoing thing. We suffered a defeat. Yes, the Hussein one you are saying. The judge decided to assess the evidence and reach his own conclusion and arrive at a verdict of acquittal. But acquittal does not equate to he did not do it. I don't mean Hussein, I mean the meaning of acquittal. That's what I'm saying. When somebody is acquitted, it's different from saying that the accused did not do it. Acquittal simply means the court reached a verdict that evidence is not sufficient enough to convict. This is completely different from whether the suspect did the offense or not. And I think you, the media, need to help people to understand these differences. So, but just because a couple of cases are lost in court, no, I am hired to even deal with those challenges, to find out why our cases being lost. How do we resolve them? How do we solve those problems to make sure we lost as too few cases as possible? I am a minister, I'm serving at the pleasure of the president. If something arises that I think I could no longer take this, I would resign. I don't need somebody to advise me to resign. But until the president, at whose pleasure I am serving, decides to tell me, I think we need to part now, I am here, and I don't get intimidated to do my job. Let's take another question. But you have had a turn, allow somebody else to have a turn. Unless you want a turn, you can ask for your turn, another turn again, and ask a further question. And also, I just read to you a 2025 conviction rate of 78%. You call that a bad performance?
No, I'm talking about the 2025. I'm talking about your appointment as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Republic of the Gambia, and the government being found wanting. I can cite you cases where outside the court, the government was found wanting in violating the Constitution on numerous occasions under your leadership.
So,
I can cite you.
No, hold on.
The salaries of the Chief Justice and Justice were increased by the President without the approval of the National Assembly, and you came to Parliament and you admitted that. To people outside, that is a failure of you.
Hold on. Can we exercise some decorum? You've asked the question. You cannot determine the answer. you will have to take the answer. Don't control your question, but you don't control my answer. I think that should be the relationship. So let's take another question.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Patience. So back in 2022, I did an article on the government's preferred option to prosecute those that bear the most responsibilities. And then when I asked who are those that bear the most responsibilities, I was told that the names will be out once the special prosecutor is identified. Now that we have that out of the way, when will the public get the names of those who bear the most responsibilities on the Yaya journey?
So I don't want to forestall the work of the prosecutor. Like I said, 69 names are recommended, and the prosecutor will study them and will inform the public those that he thinks bears the greatest responsibility and want to go after them.
Regarding rape cases, I have key interest in this area, and I've been following. Recently, I published an article on one of the rape victims. This girl was raped at the age of 12, and she was confirmed pregnant at the age of 13. But the perpetrator is missing. Justice Jada struck out the case because the perpetrator is missing. The person who bailed the perpetrator is also missing. Yes, I don't know whether you are aware of it, but I'm sure the DPP would. Yes. And the perpetrator's name is Samba Jallo. I know the DPP must have been aware of this. I want to know how far is your ministry going to take to ensure that Samba Jallo is brought to book? And my other question is, how well is your ministry working with the police? Because based on my observation, most of these rape cases are lost not because of your staff. I'm not promoting them, not because of them, but because of the bad investigation that was done by the police. How well is your ministry working with the police to ensure that proper investigation is done to ensure that rape perpetrators of this heinous crime are not, escaped just like Samba Jallo is now on the run. In fact, even the ID card that was issued to bail Samba Jallo is not biometric, but the other one, when I was a toddler, that kind of ID card was the one used, and Samba Jallo was only paid for $10,000. And now he is on the run, and the victim is there behind the pain. What is your ministry doing in order to ensure that Samba Jallo is brought to, the book and make sure justice is served for the victim? Thank you.
Samba Jallo, I have not been briefed on it, like I said. Probably not all these things come to my table, but I'm sure DPP may be aware. But I'll just respond to you from the facts that you have said. We take all SGBV cases very seriously. And the fact that you say the perpetrator is nowhere to be found, the sorties are nowhere to be found, that sounds a bit of a challenge. Because normally when a perpetrator is not found, we cannot find the perpetrator, we go after the sorties. So if the sorties themselves are nowhere to be found, that's a difficult one. So probably in those kind of situations, we notify the police, and then because they do the manhunt. So they should have to continue to do the manhunt until this suspect can be apprehended, and then will be made available to us for prosecution. But how we work with the police, SGBV cases, I mentioned it in my statement, they require some technicality in investigating them. Police have developed a lot of capacity in it, but there can always be room for more capacity building. For the ministry, we have come up with an SGBV unit. So we have an SGB desk officer. So they liaise with the police. They also have gender or SGBV unit. So these two units work very, very, very closely. And we recognize the gaps. So there is a lot of collaboration in that area. Hotlines have been created for victims and survivors to call and response to improve on response time. But also guidelines for investigations, how to make sure that critical evidence are properly preserved so that they can be presented in court. So a lot is being done, but we know we need to do more. So we are committed to that. But I'm happy you choose that area as area of interest. We are equally very keen about SGBV.